Okay, everybody, this is a video that I'm going to do about an atheist that's trying to explain through logical reasoning and science that homosexuality is a biological process. It's a biological character trait. Now, she really steps in it when she does these videos. I'm going to let you listen to it, and then I'll stop to make comments.
Just watched a video entitled Kirk Cameron on homosexuality, and I think it's something you need to check out. In the video, he is denouncing homosexuality. He's telling the interviewer, hey, I'm a Christian, and this is what we believe. He's saying that homosexuality is unnatural, and he is in a way speaking for Christians. So those of you who sit there and say, why do you atheists or freethinkers or skeptics constantly make a big deal about Christianity? Well, here's one of the reasons why we do this, because we notice that people are actively out there trying to suppress the rights of other people, trying to promote agendas that take away the freedoms of other human beings.
Now, right there, that's exactly what the militant homosexual lobby is doing. The cake bakers that refused to make a cake for a wedding for two homosexuals. What did the homosexuals do? They turned around and prosecuted those people, and now they closed down their shop. Does that not directly contradict what she says? Of course it is. That's hate speech. That's bigotry against Christians by homosexuals. The whole point of homosexuals is to do away with Christianity. And her saying that's not the case is just stupidity. They are going to infiltrate every ounce, every square inch of Christianity through the emergent churches, the apostate churches, that they can, and change those churches to where they have to accept homosexuality. That's their whole point.
When you have the stamp of approval from a large religious body agreeing with you that homosexuality is a sin and it's something that needs to be combated and suppressed, you have a lot of momentum. Kirk Cameron goes on to say that homosexuality is unnatural and it's ultimately destructive to civilization. These are very inflammatory statements that carry a lot of weight. Think about it. Think about it. When you have people that believe a particular behavior is ultimately destructive to civilization, of course you're going to see them try and invoke policies that restrict the rights of these people. And this behavior is actually not sinful. This is what it all comes down to, is being a homosexual is not a sinful thing. It's not a sinful behavior. It's a character trait. It's a biological character trait.
Okay, absolutely scientifically wrong. If this woman thinks this way, through her atheism, through her moral relativism, through her attacking people by saying that they use circular reasoning or logical fallacy, well, try this on. Is she saying that the pedophile is biologically has a biological characteristic that makes this person, he or she, a pedophile? Now, do these people have the same rights that she's wanting for the homosexuals? Now, we all know as Christians that God lists, bestiality as being, homosexuality and bestiality as being, bad, very bad. Now, just a generation ago, if people tried this, it would be stuffed right back down their throats and they would not be allowed to get away with it. Now, so this generation's gone by and now we're having the big debate. Well, not actually a debate. They're actually taking over through legislations, laws, that's why I call them militant homosexuals, and making it illegal before too long for even pastors to speak out against homosexuality, which is through our religion and our biblical teachings by Christ and God. Now, is she going to say, okay now, you have to allow that person to marry, that man to marry that 9-year-old little girl, because that's his biological disposition. What about a generation further when, okay, now you have to allow that woman to marry her German Shepherd, because that's her biological disposition. This woman talks logical fallacy. This woman refuses to actually realize she's employing it every time she opens her mouth. Number one, Bible says nature is not like that. There are shows of dominance and submission through a homosexual act, but they're not human beings. The not thinking like we think. They're not out there to say, okay, I'm going to do this to be a pervert. The male wolf might just drop down the younger male wolf, and through dominance and submission, kick him out. Make him submit. She's trying to compare nature of animals as with nature of humans. We are not animals. And that's part of another reason why you have atheism being hand in hand going through socialism and Marxism, responsible for the deaths of literally hundreds of millions of people. The human being is no more than an animal. That's why you can have literally billions of children murdered within the womb, because humans are just animals. And she's trying to bring this all down to logical fallacy and circular reasoning, which is just utter humanistic words that are just crap. What she's learned from another man or woman, and that woman learned from something from another man and another woman. What we as Christians learn comes straight from the Bible. And we're dealing with prophecies. We see these prophecies given and fulfilled, and there's only one way this can happen. That's because it's outside of the time-space continuum. God is not within our dwelling, our construct, our matrix. And I actually feel sorry for this person, but her arguments are circular reasoning. They are absolute fallacy.
Of a person or of an animal. And this is something that we need to realize, that it's not unnatural. There is examples of homosexual behavior.
I will add, let's say that there is no rapture and things are going to go on for another generation. Will she be willing to stand up against the pedophile and say, no, you cannot have the 9-year-old little girl? That's wrong. Now, if she's going to do that, then she puts herself, according to her humanistic reasoning, within the same camp that she's speaking against now, against Christians. She's passing a moral judgment. You see where this is going? How about when the woman wants to marry her German Shepherd? Is she going to step up and say, no, that's wrong, you can't do that? Or is she going to say, go right ahead, you're biologically disposed to be that way, you were created that way, although she probably will use words like created and not even realize what she's saying. It's infuriating to deal with people that think they're so smart that they actually trap themselves with their own intelligence.
Behavior in nature, not just in humans, but in other animals as well. So the interview goes on, and there's kind of a brief discussion about morality. The interviewer objects to Kirk Cameron's position on homosexuality, and when that happens, Kirk Cameron responds by saying, well, you're using your own standard of morality to tell me that my standard of morality is wrong. And so that's where he leads the discussion. And what he means by that, when he's talking about standard of morality, he means the Bible. The Bible.
Yes, he does. She's just said, through her own logical fallacy, that people are setting up moral standards. And she's trying to say that you don't have to have a moral standard through Christianity or through the Bible, which is absolutely wrong, because if you don't have some form of moral standard, then you don't know where the moral standards come from. And if you don't know where the moral standards come from, then you end up killing babies in the womb, allowing dogs to marry people, and men to take young women as wives. She's very backwards. She sounds very reasoned, but if you don't use the Spirit and actually put her to the test, this is the kind of garbage that fools people.
Biblical text is his standard of morality.
Yes.
That is where he derives his standard of morality.
Yes.
And the rest of society doesn't derive their standard of morality from.
And that's why you have right now people trying to say homosexuality is normal, that they can get married, that they can even, even contrary to her beliefs, say, yes, we are Christian and we are homosexual because God made us that way.
From the Bible. We get our standard of morality from society and from knowledge, from understanding certain things, certain behaviors, and how those behaviors affect other people. And one thing we do know is that leading a homosexual lifestyle is not infringing upon anyone else. It's not hurting anyone else.
Tell that to the people that have exercised their rights to say, no, thank you, I don't want to make a wedding cake for homosexuals, that's against my religion. What happened to them? What did the militant homosexuals do? What do the militant homosexuals do against anyone that steps out of their line and says, I'm against homosexuality? This woman is either an idiot or just outright lying or does not watch the news.
In fact, it's a biological character trait. It's part of who the person is. And we also know that to suppress this trait is going to have harmful consequences on the person. So
Garbage
I think
in, garbage out.
a morality that is based upon reason and science and knowledge and our society at large is the morality that we need to put stock in.
What she doesn't realize also, homosexuality doesn't lead to the downfall of the society. Homosexuality is a result of a downfall in society. It's the last stage, according to the Bible. I don't remember where it's at. It's given the stages of downfalls of a society. And that's the last one. That's God saying, okay, you don't want to live my way. I turn you over to your own lusts. And that's what's happened. That's why we're at the last stage of this society. That's why we're on the cusp of the rapture. That's why we're going to see the Antichrist show up. And I even made comments on her video saying atheism is within 10 years of becoming extinct because the Antichrist isn't going to put up with this. He's going to say, you take my mark and you worship me or I cut your head off. We'll see how many of these people really are atheists. The majority of them are not going to lose their heads. They'll start worshiping the Antichrist. All right, bye.